Today we start part C of Module 3, Understand JavaScript Functions. We have used several JavaScript functions, in some examples. Yeah. It is pretty straightforward to use, but there are some basic concepts. If we learn those basic properties, concepts about JavaScript functions, then we can understand better. When we use JavaScript functions, we can have better understanding. All right, part of C.1, basics of JavaScript functions. All right, first, let's look at the properties of JavaScript functions. First, JavaScript functions are values that can be called. Here, the main term is this values. How do you understand the values? So here, you need to extend your usual understanding of values. So usually, when you talk about values, so you may have integer values, string values, but here you need to extend a little bit to object values. Object. JavaScript, we know, we can still treat it as object-oriented programming language. But although the way to use objects quite different from other object-oriented programming languages. But here, this is the place we can use the object values. So let us look at this, in our later, further discussions. All right. The question, can we pass a function to another function as a value? So this question is pretty interesting. We pass a function as a value, as a parameter. This parameter actually, it is a function name. And then in another function, we can call this passed function. How about that? I think this feature, if the answer is yes, actually later you will see the answer is yes. In the last slide of this notes, you will see we have example to do that. Simple example to do that. If we can do that, you can think about it is very interesting. So this feature provides us an interesting way, a powerful way to call JavaScript functions in a flexible way. Because the function name, you can treat it as parameter value. So that's pretty interesting. Here, if you want to pause a little bit, you can think about how do we do this kind of feature in other programming languages? Do you know how to do this kind of feature in other programming languages? For example, in Java, can you do that in Java, right? And in C++. So think about that. In Java, the answer is yes, you can do that. In Java, there is a technology called reflection technology. The reflection technology allows you to do function call in this way. All right, so let us continue to understand other parts. All right, you can call a function by mentioning its name followed by arguments in parentheses. So this is the usual way we call a function. So this part, so we are familiar with. So this property, we are already familiar with that. All right. But the next property, yeah, it's quite special for JavaScript functions. If you don't return anything from a function. Now, sometimes in your JavaScript function, you just do some data processing work, right? After you complete the data processing, you do not need to return any value. You do not need to return any value, right? So you skip it. Yeah. Then no error. Yeah. Don't worry. There is no error for it, right? Yeah. But if you have a chance to print the result of that function call, it returns a value, the default value, undefined. You will see this word, undefined word. You will see it. Yeah. So that's another special case. Sometimes when you do JavaScript testing, you have a chance to see this undefined value. Yeah. Here, with this property, so when you have that situation, you can understand, oh, because of this property, yeah, it returns undefined value. Yeah. All right. All functions are objects. Here you can see the types, yeah, data types of JavaScript functions. Objects, that type. Yeah. And then instances, yeah, because sometimes you want to really look at the data type of a function, so you use instances of operator. Yeah, there is operator to check instance of. Yeah. You will see this function, capital F function. Yeah, so that's the type. If you really want to check the variable type. Yeah. All right. Here, you just use this instance of operator to check it. Yeah. Similar to what you do in Java, and other programming languages. Yeah. Instance of, you can check it. Yeah. Here, let's just look at a very simple example. Yeah. All right. In this example, first, you define a simple function. Very simple. Yeah. The function name, ID, parenthesis, x parameter. Yeah. All right. Then you want to check instance of operator. Okay. How do you check it? Yeah. Here, console.log. We know we can output some information to the console. Yeah. Your web browser, there is small area display, so use that console display. You can see output information. Here, what do you want to see? Yeah, ID, that's the function name, right? Function name, yeah. Instance of function, true or false. Yeah. If it's not instance of function, you will see false, but here we provide a definition of the function, so we should see true value. All right, next, concept. These two terminologies, relationship, parameter versus argument. Yeah, difference is pretty straightforward. Yeah, parameters are used to define a function. Yeah, when we define a function, yeah, we specify certain number of parameters. In that situation, we call the parameters. But in another situation, arguments are used to invoke a function. When we invoke a function, we need to pass certain values as the input of this function. In that situation, we use the terminology arguments. Yeah. All right. But for many people, so probably when they use these two terminologies, so they may, exchange, messed up, use it in a wrong way. It happens frequently, yeah. But usually the programmers can understand the meaning immediately. Yeah, even people use it in a wrong way. A programmer and experienced programmers can still understand the meaning. But for us, we just try our best to avoid that kind of wrong usage. Yeah, but so later you will notice it's very easy to use it in a wrong way. Yeah. All right, next, defining functions. Here we want to look at this topic, defining functions. First concept, function expressions. That concept. So what is a function expression? Yeah. So you can use the straightforward way to understand. Yeah, but here a function expression produces a value. But this value is a function object value. Now, you write a function expression. That expression, that's the way we define a function, right? You define a function. Okay, you write a function definition. That function definition, you use it as a function expression. Now, here, let us look at a simple example here. Now, first, we create a variable, var, JavaScript variable called add. All right, add equals. Yeah, the typical way we assign a value to a variable. This variable name is called add, but its value is special. Its value is a function definition. Now here, its value different from our usual value. Our usual value typically a string value, an integer value, double float, right? That kind of values. But here we use the special function expression value. Yeah, so we can assign it to a variable name, but this time we treat this as a function object. It is a function object. All right, yeah. After you do that assignment, then you can use it in this way. You call, yeah. How do you call it? Variable name. You treat the variable name as the function name. All right, so then you pass arguments. Here, let us call arguments. 2 and 3 are arguments. All right, x, y parameters. Right? Yeah. So you will get the result of this function call 5. So you print that 5 to the console. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So that's the function expression, the meaning. Yeah. All right. Next. Because normal function expressions don't have a name. Yeah, here, function, then no name here. Look at that. Right? Think about, currently when you use a function, you need to provide a name to your function, right? Then later you can call it. But in a function expression, it's different. Function expression, usually you do not provide a name, because the variable name you will use as the function name, right? Here, the variable name you use as a function name, All right, so this kind of function expression we call anonymous function expressions. Anonymous function expressions. All right, yes, All right, so next, name the function expressions. We can provide a name if we need it. For some reason, if we need to use that name, we can provide a name. Here, so let's look at that case. Name the function expression, different type. This time, name the function expression is only accessible. Look at the rule, is only accessible inside the function expression. Inside the function expression, you can access its name. Outside function expression, you cannot access its name. Think about that. Okay, yeah. So the rule is quite different as our usual understanding, right? Yeah. Look at the example here. Now, here first we create a named function expression. All right? Yeah. So we assign a function expression to variable repeat. But this time, this function has a me name. Function after that keyword function space, we provide a name, me, parenthesis, parameters. Yeah. Then inside this function expression, we call this function recursively. Recursively, yeah, here, yeah. Because based on the rule, only inside this function expression, you can call its own name, right? Yeah, yeah, that's the rule, yeah. So you use it in this way, all right. So then later, when you get out of the function expression, when you need to call, you use the variable name, repeat, to call it. And passing arguments to it, okay? Arguments to this function. So then, all right, yeah. So you see the result, right? Yeah, so, based on the recursion, so you see the result, all right. Another thing here, because if you use console.log, you call that function name directly, me directly, you cannot, right? You're not allowed to call in that way because it is out of the function expression. So you cannot call it in that way, right? Yeah, so you get an error. So me is not defined out of the function expression. So think about that. All right. Okay. Then next, function declarations. Yeah. Yeah. So you can see function expressions. So we studied two types. Yeah. Anonymous function expressions, named function expressions. All right. So after that concept, now we learn function declarations. Yeah. So this is the part we are familiar with. Yeah. We used in several examples we use this way, function declarations. All right. A function declaration declares a new variable, creates a function object, and assigns it to the variable. Yeah. So for example, yeah. So here you can see. All right. So how many things we do here? A function declares a new variable. So what's that new variable? Is it this new variable, right? Creates a function object. Yeah, so this whole thing creates a function object, all right? And assigns it to the variable, right? Yeah, that object assigned to this variable. Yeah. So in this example, what are you doing here? Yeah, all these things, yeah, you will do, yeah, here. All right, yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah. Next, let's look at the examples, simple examples, so we can understand the special new ways we just learned. Here, two examples. The first example, relatively easy. Yeah. So let's look at this. First, we define a function, but this time we use function expression, right? So look at this way. Anonymous function expression. Then we assign this anonymous function expression to this greeting variable. And when we call it, yeah, here, we want to get some information. So we write some information to, the page, to the, web browser rendering area, yeah. Document.write, parenthesis, type of, we want to see this variable, what type it is, right? Greeting, type of, space, greeting, yeah, we want to see it. So what do you see? Function type. It is a function type. Okay, yeah, so here. After that, then you write the information. This time you use the function call way. Yeah, greeting the variable name, because this variable takes the function expression as an object value. Yeah, so this time you have the function definition in this variable. So greeting parenthesis, no parameter, no argument passed to it. Yeah, but it returns a string. So you output it on the page. Yeah. All right. The second example. So this one, we show, remember the question at the beginning of the first page, we want to pass a function name as a value to another function. Then we call this function passed as a parameter inside another function with certain arguments. So look at that. Yeah. So that should be a new way to call a function. Yeah, new way to call the function. But here you can see in JavaScript, it is very simple to call in that way. Yeah. Look at that. The first function is a regular function definition, right? Create greeting with one parameter, string parameter name. Yeah. So you print a certain string, yeah, in this function. The second function is a special one. The second function quite special, okay, called a display greeting function name, but its first parameter, greeting function, supposed to be a variable that contains a function object. Yeah. So the first parameter is special. Yeah. It's supposed to be a function object. How about that? Quite special, right? Function object as its value. Yeah, that's special. All right. The second parameter, string value, because we will pass the string value in this function inside that display greeting function. How do we pass it? Yeah. So greeting function, we use the function name. Yeah. Function variable actually. Yeah, variable name. Yeah, variable name. Okay. Yeah. Then argument. Yeah. This parameter is used as the argument inside the definition of this function. Next, we use it. We call it. Okay. Yeah. Variable result equals, this time, display greeting, the first parameter name, this time argument. You can see I sometimes I misuse the terminology myself. Yeah. All right. So create greeting. Yeah. You pass the function name as its first argument. All right. Yeah. So then a string, second argument. Then the second function implemented. So you will see greeting parenthesis username Peter. Yeah. So then generate the result. It will be assigned to this result variable document.write. So you see hello Peter. So based on the function definition, you can easily detect hello Peter. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So that's all we need to learn in our C.1 video.